In this video, we're going to learn how to set borders for HTML elements. We're going to start with the Facebook div, but before we do that, we're going to define a background color for paragraphs so that we can see how everything is laid out. So let's choose a color, a background color for paragraphs, and by using Ctrl-Alt-K, we can use our color picker, and let's go for this color, for instance. Okay, now we can see everything. We can see the contents of the div, and we can see the padding, and now we're going to be defining the border. Okay, so if we start with the Facebook div, basically there are several ways of defining borders. The first one is by using one line where we define everything, both the width, the style, and the color if we want to. So the syntax is border. And now we're going to define the width using one value. Okay. And then we can define the style. So we're going to use a ridge style. And now you can see that the border is already set. We haven't used any color, but by default, this gray color is the one that's used. And usually if you want to choose a color, it's going to be the second parameter that we need to put after the width. And let's pick up a certain color for our border. Let's go for something like this. And now you can see the border with the chosen color. Okay, so that's one way of defining the parameters of borders. Now if we move to the Apple div, so we're going to use another way. First of all, we're going to define the border width using 4 values, and that's if we want to set one different value for each side. So the syntax is border width, and we are going to choose different values for each side. So we're starting with the top side, followed by the right one, then the left one, sorry, the bottom one, and then the bottom one, and then the left one. Okay, so we don't see anything yet because we haven't defined any style. Now if we define the border color, we can do exactly the same. So border color, and we can use a different color for each side. So let's go black, green, orange, yellow. So you can see that we don't see anything yet so far because we haven't defined any style yet. So once we define the style using border style, then we're going to see the border. So let's go for ridge again, and now you can see the border. Okay, and you can see the different colors for and different widths for each side. Okay, now let's move to the Microsoft div, and now we're gonna define the border width using only 2 values. And in this case, the first value is going to define the border for the top and bottom sides, and then the second one is going to define the value for the right and left side. Okay, let's use a border style, and this time let's go for a groove style. Okay, and let's choose a color. Okay, let's go for, okay, let's pick up a color from here. All right, there is another parameter that we can use, is it's the border radius, and basically the border radius will make the corners curved basically. So if we set it to 10 pixels, for instance, so you can see now that the borders are curved, and the bigger the radius is, the more curved the corners are going to be. So if we set that to 20 pixels, 30 pixels, 40, it will change accordingly. Now, if we set the height and the width to 100 pixels, for instance, and we increase the border radius, Let's go to 80 pixels, and also if we change the padding and we set it to 10 pixels for all sides, now we start getting a circle. Okay, and if we want the border radius to be, or border width to be the same for all sides, then we can have a more uniform circle. All right, so this is one way of changing a div to a circle. This is it for borders. In the next video, you're going to move to the outlines.